The Galactic Military Academy's observation deck fell silent as Commander Zexthor of the Valorian Empire made his request. His crystalline exoskeleton refracted the pale blue light of the briefing room, casting prismatic shadows across the assembled council of instructors. "We wish to understand human military training protocols," he stated, his translator rendering his clicks and whistles into flat, emotionless standard, "specifically how you condition your young for combat readiness." The human representative, Colonel Sarah Chen, exchanged glances with her aide. Around the circular chamber, representatives from 47 species shifted in their respective atmosphere-controlled seating pods. The Kryn ambassador's tentacles curled with anticipation. The insectoid thax clicked their mandibles in approval. Every species present began their warrior training in childhood. It was the way of the galaxy. "I can show you footage," Colonel Chen said slowly, "but I should provide context first." "Context is unnecessary," interrupted General Cortax of the Dreth Supremacy, his scales rippling with impatience. "We have reviewed your military's effectiveness. Your species has repelled 3 invasion attempts in 2 cycles. We simply wish to replicate your training methods." Colonel Chen's jaw tightened. "Very well." She activated the holographic display. The assembled military elite leaned forward, expecting to see young humans learning weapons handling, combat tactics, perhaps even the brutal conditioning exercises the Kryn employed on their larvae. Instead, they saw children playing. The first clip showed a human child, no more than 5 standard years old, falling from a primitive climbing structure. The child's knee split open, green-stained fabric tearing, crimson blood welling up. Several aliens gasped. Surely now the combat conditioning would begin, the pain tolerance training they all recognized. But the child simply cried. And a human female, the mother, Chen explained, rushed over not to strike the child for weakness but to embrace it. She cleaned the wound with gentle hands and soft words, placed a colorful adhesive strip over it, and then, inexplicably, encouraged the child to climb again. "I don't understand," Zexthor said. "Where is the discipline? The pain conditioning?" "Watch," Chen replied quietly. The footage continued. They saw human children learning to ride primitive 2-wheeled vehicles, falling dozens of times, knees and elbows bloodied, tears streaming, but always getting back up. Not because a trainer shocked them or a superior officer demanded it, but because they wanted to. They saw children in organized sports losing games, experiencing defeat, learning to cope with failure while adults cheered them on regardless of outcome. They saw children solving complex puzzles, building elaborate structures, creating art, all activities that seemed to have no military application whatsoever. "This is your warrior training?" General Cortax's translator barely masked his disdain. "Children playing games?" Colonel Chen changed the footage. Now they saw slightly older humans, adolescents, participating in team sports. The humans ran until their bodies screamed for mercy, pushed themselves beyond exhaustion, but no overseer forced them. They did it for something called team spirit, for the respect of their peers, for the simple desire to improve. They saw teenagers working part-time jobs, learning responsibility. They saw them dealing with social rejection, heartbreak, academic failure. They saw them falling and rising again and again in thousands of small ways. "We don't train our children for war," Chen said into the confused silence. "We train them for life. We teach them that falling is not failure. Refusing to rise is. We teach them that pain is temporary, that fear can be overcome, that working together achieves more than individual strength." She switched to military footage now, human soldiers in actual combat. The aliens watched as human units displayed impossible coordination, as soldiers threw themselves into danger to save wounded comrades, as commanders made split-second decisions under fire. Every human soldier you see was once a child who learned to ride a bicycle despite scraped knees, who lost soccer games but played again next week, who failed tests but studied harder, who had their hearts broken but loved again. She paused, letting the weight of her words settle. "You asked how we train children for war. We don't. We train them to be resilient, adaptable, cooperative, and determined. We teach them that setbacks are learning opportunities, that pain is survivable, that failure is not fatal. When war comes, and we pray it doesn't, these lessons translate into soldiers who never give up, who adapt to any situation, who fight not because they were conditioned to, but because they choose to protect what they love. Commander Zexthor's translator remained silent for a long moment. When he finally spoke, his voice carried a weight it hadn't before. On my world, we separate children from parents at age 3. We teach them that pain is weakness, that emotion is liability, that individual survival is paramount. His exoskeleton dimmed. We have the most disciplined military in the sector. Yet when we faced the Scourge invasion, our soldiers fled. We don't understand why. Colonel Chen nodded slowly. Your soldiers fight because they're afraid of their commanders. Ours fight because they're more afraid of losing each other. She showed one final clip. A human soldier, grievously wounded, dragging herself across a battlefield to reach a fallen comrade. Not for tactical advantage. Not because orders demanded it, but because that comrade was her friend, and she had learned in a sandpit at age 6 that you don't leave your friends behind. The observation deck remained silent. Several species exchanged glances, their certainty shaken. The Kryn ambassador's tentacles drooped. General Cortax's scales had lost their luster. It was a young Thax lieutenant who finally spoke, his translator crackling with something that might have been emotion. We have been training warriors, he said softly. You have been raising humans. Colonel Chen closed the display. Around the chamber, more than one battle-hardened soldier looked away. Something suspiciously like tears glistening in eyes and optical sensors never designed to produce them. They had come seeking the secret to human military superiority. They had found something far more profound, and far more terrifying to those who ruled through fear and pain. They had discovered that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their technology or tactics. It was their humanity itself.